Okay, everybody. So we got a new update in Raid, or well, they talked about the upcoming update. We just had obviously a coalition event in the case of the Assassin's Creed Corporation that they're running, and they're now going to do more like this in the future. We get a couple of new champions and also some quality of life improvements. And some of the changes are more important than others, I would say, especially when we're talking about people that are playing on free-to-play accounts. But there is a little bit of a theme here that I want to talk about just in general when we're talking about the upgrade pattern that they're running and what we can actually learn from the videos that they just put out. So if you are playing on PC, then you probably already saw the video in the launcher and the information that they have. But we're going to go over a few of the changes that they're going to implement, and again, my personal take on some of it. One of the biggest things is definitely going to be the new Clanboss. They're going to make more of a coalition thing. I honestly really like the coalition event that they've been running previously, and that they personally think that this is the path to go forward. I enjoy that a lot. So there's going to be more things where you can operate, as a clan and just really work together, and making this a bit of a world boss event where they're getting a new clan boss in that is just much, much stronger is kind of cool. So this is the type of content that I really enjoy. Grim Forest, the coalition events, all of these things that they just put into action. And I really think it helps the game out a lot and makes things a bit more interesting and just challenging in general. So there's going to be lots of new rewards, and it should be pretty cool to see what exactly you can do with that. But I really like what we're getting here. So they're clearly thinking about how they can make this all a bit more interesting and also give us, of course, more and more rewards as we are playing the game. Another big thing that is now coming out is them actually adding a way how you can battle teammates in live arena, which I think is pretty cool. It might not apply to as many people because there's a lot, that are thinking more about PvE and are not that focused on the PvP elements of the game. But it is kind of cool that if you have a tight-knit clan where you've been in the past, talking to your buddies and everybody was like saying, hey, who has the best setup, or can you maybe test my defense here? This is giving you an option where you can now do that, and I think that's pretty cool. So if you're in a clan that actually has an active Discord where people talk and chat with each other and just exchange in general advice, this is a nice little way of how you can now play against others and can just try their arena team a little bit, maybe help them to improve. And it's just, for a lot of teams, it's like pretty cool. As I said before, I don't think this is applying to as many people, just simply because they are currently in a situation where they are focusing a bit more on this PvP element, where a lot are still shying away from it. But it's nice that they're thinking around those lines, and this was feedback that was given to them for a long time that people want to do that, and now obviously you can. Now, additionally, what they're also doing is that they're making it so you don't lose scrolls anymore in the Minotaur if you are hitting that ceiling with one of your champions. And it's one of those quality of life improvements that I really like. And this kind of brings me to the main point of the video, because obviously all of the just raw information you can get from their own video as well. But this is one of the things that I actually like about Raid, and that kind of always brings me back. That they are coming in and always give us more quality of life improvements and try to make the game more interesting. We got with the Grim Forest more PvE content. We're now getting these coalition events. They already gave us the quick battles now for Team Arena, for example, which is a huge time save and finally got me to a point where I'm using more Team Arena tokens as well. Even when it's losses, it's just like much better to go in. Would love to have something similar for Live Arena. Live Arena is probably what annoys me the most with PvP. Not because I don't like the mode, but simply because it's such a huge waste of time. Especially if you have somebody on the other side that just lets every single turn run down to the last second. And let's face it, there are way too many of those people. So if they would make it a little bit faster, that would be amazing. And I honestly think that in the future, they will do something along those lines. I talked in a previous video also how I think that for Faction Wars Hard, for example, when you get to a certain stage, it would be nice if they would speed up the process of getting through it too. They kind of did it already, of course, in the sense that you can now basically do 3 runs in one, but this can still take a long time. I have several stages where if I want to get max rewards, I have to let it run for 10 minutes because my lineup is just barely surviving. It's one of those things where you slowly win. And I feel at a minimum, when you've maxed out the stars on a single faction, you should be able to get some kind of speedrun button or something along the lines. I'm sure they can find another compromise. But those details just aside for just a second, I honestly think that the cool thing about Raid and Plarium is that with all the criticisms that are valid and exist, they always bring in new interesting content, and they are trying to improve the quality of life for all of us out there. One of the main things that we haven't actually talked about with the new patch is that now you can basically go back and also complete old fusions. Now, it's not necessarily a one-to-one trade. You have to complete normal fusions first. Through those, you get tokens. And then depending on what old fusion you want to do, you can now spend some of those tokens to replace a fusion. So it's a little bit of a weird one. I think it could be optimized slightly. But just the fact alone that you can now go back is great. If you miss Knut, for example, you want him. That's one of those champions that is just a must-have these days. And if you weren't lucky enough to pull him, you missed the fusion. Now you can basically just use that to slowly get him back. It's going to take you a while, but it's definitely going to be one of the things that you can pull off. Now, there might be a few tweaks that they can do in the future to make this whole process a little bit smoother and easier, but that just the fact that they add this and now allow us to do that is already nice. So this is one of the big things of Plarium that I really enjoy, which also brings me back every single time that I'm dropping the game for a little bit, because at the end of the day, it is a game where the company is obviously making a ton of money with it, but they're also trying to make it then a bit easier on the players. We've seen so many things where they acknowledged, hey, we're adding more and more content, you need to spend more and more time with the game, but we're now giving you options how you can reduce time in certain areas, being it quick battles for Hydra or just all the other stuff that we just pointed out. And I played plenty of other games of the sorts where they're not doing any of this, and all of a sudden it feels like you basically have a second job and are not just playing a game at the side. Now, obviously, there's still a lot of time that you will invest into this if you decide that you want to do everything, but just the fact that they're always going in a direction where they're going to try and make things a bit easier, I personally like a lot. Again, it's one of the things that brings me back to it. And it's what I take from this patch and the recent ones that we got the most. It's not for me about like the single individual thing that they're adding, but just that the trend that they're going with is currently, I think, a positive one. Again, not saying there's not negative things as well, but that's something that I at least take from these and that I kind of enjoy. What's your opinion on this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you actually think that they're doing a bad job? Do you not like the direction that they're going currently with the game? Let me know in the comments. If you made it this far in the video, it would be nice to hear what you think about all of this. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Bye-bye.